Good afternoon. Welcome to Cat Chat Live. My name is Nancy Stevens, and I'm in communications for UK's Office for Student Success. I'm so glad that you've made time to join us today. We don't do a lot of Cat Chat Live webinars in the spring semester, but we've got a really exciting celebration here coming up soon. And so today's Cat Chat Live is about the May commencement ceremonies. So in just a moment, you're going to get to meet a couple of representatives from UK's Office of University Events who are affiliated with UK's Commencement Committee, and they're going to walk you through what you can expect for the day and how you can support your May graduate. But before we turn things over to them, I want to share a couple of housekeeping items, particularly if you have not attended one of our Cat Chat Live webinars recently. So we are using Zoom's webinar feature. So the best way for you to communicate with us, and we do welcome your questions, is to use Zoom's Q&A feature. You'll hear a lot of good information, but at the end, we'll open it up to questions and take as many questions as you have in our allotted time today. This webinar is being recorded, so if you're not able to stay for the entire session, you can always view the recording later in our Cat Chat family community, and I'll put the link in the chat here shortly. You can watch the chat for links of interest that we'll be mentioning throughout the presentation. Of course, if you come up with any questions after the fact, you are welcome to email parents@uky.edu for assistance, and my commencement colleagues will also leave contact information for them as well. Now, after the webinar, you'll see a link to a brief survey. We would always love your feedback on how the Cat Chat Live webinar series is meeting your needs and what other questions you have. So those are our housekeeping items. Like to keep that short and sweet so that we can get right into the topic that you're here for today. So I'm going to turn things over to Drew Ard and Catherine Dennehy with the Office of University Events. I know you all have been working so hard and represent a whole team of people, both commencement committee and other university staff who've been working to make sure that our May commencement ceremonies are a really special occasion for our graduates and their families. So appreciate you making time to join us here today for this Cat Chat Live.
Thank you, Nancy. Hi, everyone. My name is Drew Ard. I'm an Associate Director in the Office of University Events, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Commencement Chair. And I'm going to let Catherine introduce herself real quick, too, before we get started.
Hi, my name is Catherine Dennehy. I'm a graduate student here at UK, and I am the Commencement Graduate Assistant.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So I just want to first go over a quick overview of what we're going to discuss today. So we're going to talk through the schedule of ceremonies. We are going to discuss a little bit about cap and gown. We're going to go through the registration process for commencement, discuss a little bit of the day of information, and then get into some of the FAQs. All right, so the first thing we have here is the schedule of ceremonies. This has been updated on our website, so feel free to hop on there if you forget any of this information today. It pretty much all lives there on that site. But we do have the ceremonies listed in walking order. So this is the order in which the students will be able to go across the stage. So Friday, May 8th at 9, we'll have College of Design, College of Engineering, College of Ag, and then College of Nursing. Friday at the 2 p.m. ceremony will be the College of Social Work, College of Health Sciences, College of Public Health, and then the College of Common Information. Friday at the 6 p.m. ceremony, we will have the College of Fine Arts, the Martin School, and the Patterson School, which are under the Graduate School, and then we'll have the Gatton College of Business as well. And then Saturday morning at our 9 a.m. ceremony, we will have College of Medicine, College of Education, and the College of Arts and Sciences. There's a few notes we wanted to just put out here is that degrees from the College of Pharmacy are going to be awarded at a separate ceremony on Friday, I believe, and then the Doctoral of Medicine candidates will be awarded at a separate ceremony on Saturday. So those will not participate in the typical ceremonies that we've discussed here today.
So regalia for undergraduate and master's students can be purchased in person at the UK bookstore. Online orders are currently closed at this time, but the UK bookstore will be selling regalia up until the day before the ceremony. Additionally, if you have ordered regalia online, it can take a few weeks for it to come in as they are custom ordered. So if your student has ordered it online and it hasn't come in yet, give it some time because it can take a good few weeks. For doctoral students, these deadlines have passed, but the bookstore has said that at this point in time, they can still rent doctoral regalia. It is not too late, but they will need to go to the UK bookstore in person. And inventory is limited for doctoral regalia, so make sure that gets done soon. But the undergraduate and master's regalia, like I said, will be sold up until the day before commencement.
Okay. Registration for commencement closed last week on April 15th. Don't worry though, if anyone missed the deadline, we will still work with you. We will have a late registration table that graduates can come to during the commencement check-in process. So if anyone is worried about that, please just send them to us. We'll be happy to help them and make sure that they can still walk the day of. I did want to mention that applying for your degree and registering to walk at the commencement ceremonies are two different tasks. So those graduates who have applied for their degree are eligible to walk in the May commencement ceremonies, and anyone who applied for their degree prior to April 1st, whether you are actually graduating this summer or in the spring, you will have your name in the program. Anyone who applied after that, your name will be in the program for the December ceremonies. The registration form is pretty brief. It asks them how to pronounce their name. They can include that in there in case they are worried about that. It requests any accommodations, and then doctoral students can list the faculty that is hooding them. So if you have a graduate that is asking about any of these things, send them over to us. We're happy to help them double check what's on their form, what they submitted, and if they haven't submitted, again, we'll work with them at the late registration table on the day of.
Graduates and guests can park in the High Street lot across from Rep Arena at Central Bank Center. There is also a shuttle for the May ceremonies. Shuttles will run from 7:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Friday and 7:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday. The shuttle will stop at Administration Drive near the pedestrian bridge, which is near the Cornerstone parking garage, and then we'll drop guests off at Rep Arena. And the Cornerstone parking garage right near that shuttle stop will also be open for those that are interested in shuttling from campus.
Right. So on the day of, for entering into Rep Arena, graduates are going to enter through the West High Street entrance at Rep Arena. We will have signage that says graduate entrance. They'll know exactly where to go. We'll have some volunteers out there. And then for all of the families and guests, you will enter a couple of different places. There's also an entrance on West High Street, just a little bit further down. It will be marked for guest entrance. You can also use the pedestrian bridge that is attached to the Hyatt and walk through the hotel if you're staying there, or there is an entrance down on Main Street. I did want to mention that doors will open for each ceremony 1 hour prior to the start time.
Graduates will enter on High Street to check in at Club B. Like Drew said, doors will open an hour before the ceremony. Graduates will be asked to arrive an hour before that ceremony to get checked in. Graduates will then be seated within their college. We'll have faculty marshals on the floor from each college to help seat the graduates in the appropriate location. Each ceremony should last around 2.5 hours. Students will not return back to their seat after they walk across stage. So once they walk, they will want to take all their belongings with them, and then they are able to leave and then meet their guests. Um, there is accessible seating for guests. Rep Arena has handicap accessible parking, seating, as well as elevators. But that accessible seating for guests is first come, first served. So be sure to get there on time so that you can secure that seating. Um, and like I said, since the graduates are not returning to their seat, they will be walking across the stage with all of their belongings. So just an important piece of information. Anything that they bring with them, they need to be able to carry with them across stage.
And as Catherine mentioned, when they leave the stage after they are crossing, they are going to be invited to join the UK Alumni Association for a grad gathering, just a celebratory event that all graduates are invited to. It's in Club C on the first level of Rupp Arena. So graduates will cross the stage and walk around. They'll be kind of escorted to that area, and families will be able to leave the arena and they'll be escorted down through another entrance, the main entrance to Club C. But this is a really good spot for families and their graduates to kind of reconnect after the ceremony is over. There will be free refreshments, a free small gift for all of the graduates in attendance. There will be a lot of photo opportunities for both the graduates and to take with their families. And then if you have any additional questions about this event, you can contact our Alumni Association representative, Samantha Seitz, and her email is samantha.seitz@uky.edu. And then the last part today is to kind of go through some of the FAQs. These do live on our website, but again, we're going to try to talk through the main ones today. So if you have any other questions outside of this, just reach out and let us know. Do guests need tickets? We get this question a lot. So no, we are not requiring any tickets. Seating is just general admission, first come, first serve. It's the same for any of the accessible seating that Catherine mentioned earlier. There should be plenty of seats during each of the ceremonies, but you do not need tickets, so graduates can invite as many people as they would like to attend. Is there a bag policy? Yes, there is a bag policy. It's the standard UK basketball game protocol for Rupp Arena. It's also listed a little bit more clearly on their website if you want to look into it, but it is one small clear bag, no larger than 12 by 12 by 6, or a small clutch purse without a handle. Is the ceremony live streamed? Yes, the link will be posted on our commencement page the morning of commencement for Friday and then the morning on Saturday for those ceremonies. So everything will be live streamed. You can send it to families, share it out if they're not able to join us in person. Can you bring an umbrella into Rupp Arena? Yes, there is a note to not bring the golf umbrellas. Those will not be permitted, but anything smaller than that should be fine. Hopefully there will not be any rain during the ceremonies, but just in case, you can bring an umbrella with you. What order do the graduates walk? So we kind of already talked about this in terms of the colleges, but within each college, the students will walk in order of their degree type. So doctoral students will walk first, followed by master's students, and then baccalaureate degrees. So in case you're looking on the floor and wondering where they will be kind of in that order. And then what accommodations will be available? We will have closed captioning on the screen, and there will be ASL interpreters as well. And then I'm not sure, Nancy, were there a few questions?
Yep, we do have a few questions that have started to come in. Anyone who is sitting there thinking, but they haven't talked about this yet, go ahead and use that Q&A feature to share those. The first question says, if students haven't registered to walk at the ceremony, you said they still can. How do they do that? Who do they contact?
They can email commencement@uky.edu just to give us a heads up that they're coming. We may be able to go ahead and get a card for them if they don't have one already printed. If they missed the application deadline for their degree, then we can work with them in person the day of at the late registration table.
All right, got that one answered. So the next question is, for the accessible seating, how many family members may accompany the person who needs that accessible seating?
As many as you want. There's plenty of seating around it as well. And there's also a couple of seats that are right below the area. So if you want, you can kind of split up the family just a little bit and have some regular seats in front and then the accessible seating behind it. There's no limit.
So then Patrick is asking, within the college and the degree types, are the students announced alphabetically?
They are not announced alphabetically. So we use a system where each degree candidate has a card and they will kind of go across the stage and turn their card in, and that's how they'll get their names read. So while they're not in alphabetical order, they are sitting in order by their college and by their degree type.
All right. Yay, I love that these questions are coming in. All right, Carlos is asking, are wheelchairs available?
There will not be wheelchairs available. So if you need one, we suggest that you bring it with you.
All right. Our next question asks if, excuse me, those Kentucky allergies. The next question asks, are flowers allowed to be brought into the arena in a vase? I did link to the Rep Arena bag policy in the chat, but I suspect this is one, Drew, that you all have gotten before.
That's a great question. I'm not actually sure if you can bring them in, but I know that you can purchase them once you are there. So it might be better to just plan to buy them on site.
Yeah, and I don't know about the vase piece. I think I've seen folks bring in flowers before, but I don't know that they've necessarily been in a vase. So I would, yeah, refer to the Rep Arena bag policy. All right, our next question says, will there be more security checking people in this year? I've heard that has been an issue in the past.
I'm not sure what issues there have been, but we do have security at all of the entrances. So every guest will have to go through the mags when they walk in. And that is for not only the guests and families, but also for the graduates. And just as a reminder, we do recommend that graduates do not bring anything with them. If they need to have any items, give that to the families to hold on to, because when they cross the stage, they will not go back to their seat on the floor. So they won't be able to leave backpacks or anything else with them. Everything they have has to go across the stage with them. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point to reiterate. We always want them to travel light so that they aren't carrying all sorts of things. And we want them to arrive, already in their gowns, dressed, ready to go for this ceremony. The other thing that I have noted in the past is that sometimes families have comments about the state of the student's gown, like, why didn't you steam that in advance? Why didn't you iron it? And, I always think about these students who have been trying to wrap things up on campus and taking finals and all of that. So maybe the hint to steam that gown may be better offered sooner rather than later. And breaking in those shoes, I would often see particularly our female graduates in these heels that they are struggling to walk in. So a little extra tip there from me. All right, getting back to our questions, the next one asks if there's a mandatory practice for graduates to attend.
There is no rehearsal, so when the students arrive on the day of, they will be sorted into their college. When they go to their college table, they'll get a little bit more information, but essentially they will grab their graduate card and they'll be escorted down to the floor to sit in the area for their designated college and degree. But no rehearsal, just show up. It's a pretty smooth process. We've done it for the last several years, so usually don't have too many issues.
Pamela is saying or asking, what other items are available for purchase during or after the ceremony at Rep Arena?
That's a great question. I should probably know everything that the commencement group has to offer, but I do know that they sell a handful of things, gifts, little tchotchke items to be able to purchase to get for your graduate. I'll have to look into that and I can let you know, Nancy, maybe can share it out with the group.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I think UK bookstores sometimes had a spot up there where they've had some university alumni apparel and things like that. All right, our next question is a good one because higher ed does have its own kind of language and lingo. The person saying, I'm not sure what you mean by regalia. So we're talking about the gowns that the graduates wear, the caps they wear for our master's and doctoral students. There's all sorts of other, I would call them pieces of flair. I'm sure they have more technical terms, the hoods and all that. Drew, what other regalia items am I missing?
So some students will also have cords if they have honors cords, or they might wear stoles if they are in a certain program or a group that provides those. Those are not necessarily required by any means, but essentially what we're looking for is that all of the students have their gown that they're wearing, and there is a different gown for the undergraduate degrees versus the master's degrees versus the doctoral degrees. Some are blue, some are black, so you might see a variety of different gowns. And then the undergraduate students will have what's called a mortar board or a cap. And then same for our masters. And then the doctoral students will be wearing TAMs. And then another thing that each student should have is a tassel. For the undergraduates, they will have their tassel will be the specific color of their college. And then for masters and doctoral degrees, they're just getting a black tassel or gold or silver, depending on their degree. And their hood will be the color of their college.
And I've always appreciated that the commencement program kind of explains all of that because, again, different colors represent different things, and I know it's always been helpful to me to see that broken down and explained. So here's a related question that just came in: can the caps be decorated?
Yes, please. We love to see all the different decorations and the different things that people do to flare up their outfit for the day. So that's always something that we always look forward to seeing, the creative side of things.
Yeah, it's always fun to see those. So, staying on our theme of caps and gowns, someone says if they have their cap and gown, then can I assume they have all the cords, etc.?
Yes and no. Not everyone will have cords. Those are an optional purchase. They don't come with it. You can get them if you are an honor student, or we have red, white, and blue cords for anyone in the military, the Army veterans. There are different cords for different things. So it kind of just depends if that's something that your graduate wants to add on and they have a group that they want to add it on through, then they're more than welcome to. But it's not a requirement.
So, Jennifer asks, she said, my son received a gold tassel and a blue and white tassel. Which one does he wear?
The gold tassel is likely his college tassel, and the blue and white one is sometimes included as kind of just a keepsake tassel. And usually those will have like the graduate year on them. So those are just kind of fun, not necessarily required for the ceremony. We would prefer that they wear their college colors.
All right. So I think those are most of our questions out there right now about caps and gowns and what they wear and all that. So we've got a few that want us to reiterate on the timing for the ceremony. So, what time does the graduate need to arrive prior to it? What time do family need to arrive? Got a few along those lines.
Yeah. The doors will open 1 hour prior to each ceremony. So on Friday, for example, the 9 a.m. ceremony, doors will open at 8 a.m. We do usually have both families and graduates who get there before 8 a.m., but just know that you will be standing outside. The doors will not open until right at 9 o'clock or right at 8 o'clock, an hour before. Same with the 2 p.m. ceremony, the doors will open at 1 p.m. And then for the 6 p.m. ceremony, they'll open at 5 p.m. So we just recommend that you get there an hour before. There will be a lot of traffic, especially if you are one of the middle ceremonies, because as those families and graduates are leaving, new families are coming in. So just prepare to, sit through some of the traffic and have to wait through a little bit of a line. But as soon as doors open, we'll get as many people in as we can as quickly as we can.
Yeah, one person is already thinking ahead and says, so they just show an hour before. What happens if they are late? We definitely see that as a part of my role is helping get our platform party in place and all that. And there's times that as I'm getting the platform party lined up, there are definitely graduates running in and feeling a little stressed, but they've made it there.
Yeah, the good
Anything you'd
news is
add
the
to that?
ceremony. Oh, yeah, of course. I was going to say the ceremony has kind of some more ceremonial aspects to the beginning of it. So we have a little bit of wiggle room in case a graduate or a family is running late. Usually, I would say we get going with the walking across the stage and honoring the graduates about 30 minutes into the actual ceremony. So if someone is running a little bit late, don't worry. We will work with them to get a seat on the floor, or if you're a family running a few minutes late, that's okay too. You can always pull up the live stream link if you want to catch the first part of it.
Yep, and I'll make sure that that live stream link is posted in the Cat Chat family community for families to be able to share as soon as it's available the day of commencement. So here's another question kind of related to timing. My son is graduating and college listed last for the date and time of graduation. When should his family arrive? So if they want to see the speeches and some of the, I guess, ceremonial aspects of the beginning, would recommend that they come for the beginning of the ceremony because, to your point, there's some programming before we get to the graduates walking across the stage.
Yes, that's correct. And just because you are the last college doesn't necessarily mean you will go last. Just keep that in mind. You could be, if it's a doctoral student in the last ceremony, they will still go pretty early on compared to the masters and the undergraduates of that ceremony. So just keep that in mind too. But we would recommend going ahead and getting your seat. And as families are leaving or as graduates are leaving and, a closer seat becomes available, you're welcome to move closer. And one thing I did want to mention is that in the program, which you'll be able to grab a program the day of when you arrive, we will have maps and it will show which college is seating on which side of the floor. So you can sit on that side of the arena to be closer to your graduate.
I think there may be a question down in our list that asks about the seating map and all that. So our next question, will there be a photographer taking pictures while the grads walk this stage? I figured that one would come up.
Yes. Yes, we have a photographer who will take a couple of photos of the graduates on stage, and then as soon as they cross the stage, they will kind of go through a line in which they'll take a few more photos off stage before they get directed to the Club C for the grad gathering. And all of those photos will then be either texted or emailed out to the graduate, depending on what information they have on file for purchase afterwards.
And as I recall, they tend to turn those around pretty quickly and so send the graduate the photo link not terribly long after each ceremony, within a few days, as I recall.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, so the next question is, when will the student actually receive their degree, and how or when will the family receive a copy of the graduation program?
The program can be taken day of. You can take it home with you if you grab one when you're on site. Feel free to take that. And if anyone needed an additional program for any reason, you can always reach out to our office. We may have extras at the end. If we don't have extras, we wouldn't be able to share, but if we do, we're happy to have a copy for you to come pick up, or we can mail it out to you. And then in terms of the actual degrees, this typically come a couple of months after the degree is conferred. So it depends on when your graduate is actually graduating. If they are graduating this spring, they will likely get their diploma about 3 months after, so maybe around August. If you have an August graduate who is actually walking in May, but their degree is not going to be conferred until later, they may not get their degree until November or December of this year. So those come from the registrar's office and they get sent to the address that's on file for your student.
All right, the next question asks if you can bring a camera in, keeping with that theme of photography.
Yes, I don't believe there's any issue bringing in cameras. The only thing we really ask that groups do not bring in are noisemakers or blowhorns, no confetti, nothing like that. But otherwise, you should be able to bring a camera.
Yeah, that Rupp Arena bag policy link that's in the chat may have things, if it's a, certain type of lens or things like that, there may be a few parameters there, but that would also be in the bag policy link. All right, Drew, I'm glad you mentioned confetti, noisemakers, things like that. It's a perfect segue into our next question. It says, crazy mom question. Is it appropriate to buy one of those big head posters of my graduate's face? I wasn't sure if they were allowed.
That's a great question. I love that idea. I think absolutely do it. We can look into it a little bit more. I don't think that there are any restrictions on bringing that in. I think I've seen a couple of the like stick figureheads before in the audience, so I'm sure that that would be fine.
Yeah, just like I love seeing the creativity on the caps of the graduates, I love seeing what the families bring. I've definitely seen, the big heads. I have seen families who made T-shirts with their graduate's face on it, buttons, all of it. So it's always so fun to see. All right, Kathleen asked, is it common for graduates to keep their gowns on after the ceremony, like with going to lunch or dinner afterwards? It's a custom where I'm from, but not sure about Kentucky.
I think that's a great question. Probably more personal preference. I know a lot of students will leave them on when they go to the grad gathering, but we also see a lot of students want to take their gowns off to take other photos with their family, show off the outfit they've chosen for that day. So truly up to the graduate and what they're most comfortable with.
There's a related question here asking if female grads are required to wear white. I think I've seen that as a more recent trend, but not a requirement.
Yeah, not a requirement. Whatever they want to wear is perfectly fine.
Jason asked, in the program, are the names in alphabetical order versus the order that the graduates cross the stage?
Yes.
Yeah,
And I
because we
believe they're
won't
in
know
order
what order they
by,
cross the stage.
yes, and I believe they're in order by degree type as well. So alpha order within their degree by their college.
All right, I'm seeing both Sherry and Wendy asking about that that ceremony map to know where each college will sit in the arena. So we've touched on that will be available, and that I think that's a great point that you make, that as certain colleges go and their graduates leave the arena and families head on to the grad gathering, you may be able to get a closer seat at that point too. All right. So we've got a question asking if a graduate is receiving a dual degree and thus cannot attend both graduations, but only one of them, are they able to wear both of their college tassels during the one ceremony they elected to participate in?
If they can figure out how to make the tassels stay on their cap, then sure, I don't see any issue with that. And that brings up another point. If there is a student that has a dual degree or even a triple degree, they can let us know before they cross the stage, and we are happy to give them two diploma covers so that they can use both for their pictures and take both home so that they have one for each of their degrees.
The next question says, we have family members of advanced age with ambulation concerns, but don't have an accessibility pass. Is there an ability to drop off at a strategic location to enable them to enter safely?
I would probably use the High Street entrance because you're going to come in on the level that has the accessible seating. Whereas if you come through, the Main Street entrance, you're going to have to go up escalators or an elevator. So I would try to stick with the High Street entrance, and then they'll just basically go straight in.
The next question asks about the length and clarifies, is it 2.5 hours total for the ceremony or per college?
Hopefully, it is about 2.5 hours per ceremony. That includes all of the colleges within that ceremony. Our goal really is to try and, get everyone in and out as quickly as possible while making sure everyone still has their moment on stage. So a few of the colleges might be a little bit shorter than 2.5 hours, a few of the ceremonies, I mean, and then a few of them might be a little bit longer than 2.5 hours, but we'll try to get everyone in and out as quickly as possible, knowing that we have other ceremonies that start shortly after.
Our next question asks for clarification on where you can buy cords for regalia.
I think there's a couple of places. So I know you can get the standard, like traditional honors cords and red, white, and blue cords from the UK bookstore. But I know that there are other student organizations and Greek organizations on campus that have their own stores or will sell them internally. So if you're looking for some of those, you might want to reach out to the leaders of those student organization groups.
Cheryl's asking, is the type of degree announced along with the name when the student crosses the stage or just the name?
Sort of both. We will have the provost announce when doctoral degrees are going to be presented, when master's degrees are presented, and when baccalaureate degrees are presented. So they're kind of grouped into sections, and then their degree will show up on screen, along with their name, but it will not be announced for every single individual. Just their name will be announced.
Yeah, it's always fun to see your graduate's face and their name and the degree type on the big screen in Rep Arena.
Yeah, have your cameras ready because it will be up on screen, but just for a quick second. And then if you miss it for any reason, you can always pull up the live stream link and find it too.
Yeah, and that live stream link does stay up after the ceremonies for folks who want to go back and see a particular moment. Our next question says, are you sure you can bring a big head sign in? It will block others' view, wouldn't it? So I think that's, that fine line of, have your moment of celebration, but make sure it doesn't block folks' view for too long. So I think there's maybe a fine line there. Drew, anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Any kind of celebration that families are doing for their graduate, if you're standing for, when they cross the stage, we want you to be able to celebrate them. Just be mindful that we are doing a lot of students across the stage in a short amount of time. So as soon as your graduate walks across the stage and is off the stage, to either sit back down or kind of move out of the way if you're planning to head to the grad gathering, just so other families can see.
The next question asks, is there a way to confirm whether or not our student has registered for commencement? We have the cap and gown, we're just not sure about the actual registration piece. So did students receive some sort of confirmation or something where they would know that they have registered and can reassure nervous parents?
We cannot confirm that directly with families, but if the student would like to reach out to us, we're happy to work with them. They did all receive communication, probably several at this point, just confirming that they've registered. Catherine Mike can speak a little bit more to how many emails they've gotten, but I know they've received several, and then they will soon get another email that kind of says, you're confirmed, here are all the things you need to know before you go. But Catherine, I'll let you jump in case there's anything else. She does most of the communication with our students.
Yeah, so the graduates should have received an email at some point in March and April to register for commencement. So if they've received that registration email, that means they're in our system. And then once they've registered, they should have received a confirmation email. So I would recommend having your student go into their UK email and check to see if they have that confirmation email from commencement at uky.edu. And if they have that email that says you are confirmed, your registration is confirmed, they are all set. If they don't have that, or if they never received the email to register for commencement, they can email commencement at uky.edu. And again, we can't communicate specific information with families, so have the student reach out directly. Email is going to be the most efficient way to communicate, but phone calls are welcome as well. And if they really aren't sure whether or not they registered after checking their emails, have them email commencement at uky.edu and we can check. And we had said this earlier, but even if they realize they have not registered, do not worry. We will still work with them to make sure they can walk. We will not turn anyone away from walking at commencement.
Can you restate the hours for the shuttle buses? The next question says, how early will the shuttle buses be available? I know there were different hours on Friday and Saturday.
I might need to pull up the website just to make sure I'm saying this right. But I believe we are getting the buses from 7:30 a.m. Until 10 p.m. on maybe 9:30 p.m. I'll have to double check, but it will be before and after that 1 hour doors open, and then after the last ceremony ends, about an hour afterwards, just in case. And then the same thing on Saturday. I believe it's 7:30 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Here's another question for our dual degree grads. It asks if both degrees will be listed on screen. Both degrees are in the same college.
Sorry if you can hear some things in the background. Unfortunately, no. We would love to be able to put all of the degrees on screen, but we do have character limits. So while we can't put everything up on display, we do encourage those graduates to grab a second diploma so that they can hold up to show that they have a dual degree.
Oh yeah, those two diploma covers, sure. And then our last question that we haven't tackled yet, and again, if you've got any last minute questions, now's the time to put them in the Q&A as we're beginning our wrap up. But the next question asks if the map for Rupp Arena parking and shuttles is available to download. I was just trying to take a quick look at the FAQ page on the website to see if it was there.
Yes, there is a parking map that is linked on our website. So if you click on that, it kind of shows where the graduates can park, the families can park, and then where the entrances are.
I'll put the link to that FAQ page in our chat as well. All right, I think that's all of our open questions. We'll give folks another minute to, if in case they're in the process of typing. But as we begin to wrap up, are there any other tips that, you all have been at these ceremonies for a number of semesters? Catherine, you graduated not too long ago. Just wondering what you would encourage families and maybe our graduates to do to make the most of the day.
I'll jump in and just say that it can be a very overwhelming day. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of traffic. There can be some, frustrating things outside of it. But I think just remember that this is a really special day. This might be the only day that they're going to be in Rep Arena to walk across the stage to get their degree. So, we're going to try to do everything we can to be as accommodating and help you celebrate your graduate, the best that we can. But just keep that in mind. And if something, is a small setback, don't let it get you down. We're going to try and get everyone in and out as quickly as possible, get all the photos, I would encourage you to go over to grad gathering so that your graduate can get their alumni pin, take a couple of additional photos, do all the things on that day, because, it might be the only day that they're going to graduate.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate. I mean, first, definitely plan for the traffic. If you have reservations, make sure you've planned a lot of extra time to get there because the traffic will be a lot. But I'll reiterate what Drew said. Just, soak it in, enjoy it. It can be kind of overwhelming, but it's such a big day. And we are here to help. Like Drew said, any issues that may come up, we have plenty of staff there ready to help. So if something does happen, does go wrong, like don't worry, we are there to help and just try to soak it in and enjoy it as best you can. If something does go wrong, like Drew said, don't let it, disrupt your whole day. Yeah, and just soak it in and come prepared. Check out that commencement website. That FAQ page has lots of helpful information. So if you're, day before thinking of questions, make sure to check that out. But we are available to help as well, at the email and the phone number listed on this page as well.
And Nancy, I was going to mention too, I've been, involved in commencement since about 2012. So it's safe for me to say I've seen about everything. I have, super glued someone's shoe back together. We have a sewing kit that we keep on hand in case there is a hole or rip and we need to stitch something back up. We have Band-Aids on site. We have tried to think of everything. So, if something happens or if someone loses their tassel, like we've got a couple of extras, we will absolutely work with the graduate. Just send them our way at check-in and we'll try to help as best we can.
Yeah, there's so many UK staff on site, from the commencement team and the registrar's office and college representatives and faculty marshals, and then the entire Rep Arena event team there. So there's plenty of folks around to support and to connect you with any assistance that you may need on site. All right, we've got one last question that came in, and this is one that we may not quite be able to answer because it's related to the Lewis Honors College Medal Ceremony that I know the commencement team doesn't plan, but do you have any idea how long that ceremony is?
I do not. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know there's an FAQ on the page about it, but it doesn't indicate the amount of time. So I would encourage your student to reach out directly to the Honors College and to any communications they've sent about that. And then our last is not a question, but a comment. Yvonne says, thank you so much. This has been very helpful. So glad that it has been helpful to her and hope it has been to the rest of you all as well. Again, we know this is an exciting time for our graduates and they're very proud families. It's always so cool to be at commencement and see everybody. And I get choked up every year when all of these special moments happen. So it's such an honor to be part of planning it every year and helping families and students have a really special experience. So lots of thank yous coming in to Drew and Catherine and families. We appreciate you being part of today's Cat Chat Live. You've got contact information for the commencement team. And again, you can always email parents@uky.edu with any other non-commencement related questions, or we can help connect you to the commencement team at any point if you need that as well. But we hope you have such a special experience with your graduating Wildcat, and we hope that they are very successful in wrapping up the last few weeks that they have on campus with us. So with that, we'll wish you a great rest of the day. Drew, Catherine, thanks again, and take care and go Cats. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.